All right, guys, so before I actually go into how to code, I want to cover a little bit of an introduction to what HTML and CSS actually is. HTML, or hypertext markup language, I never hear anybody call it that, comprises the content of a website. So when you go to www.gap.com, HTML is what is rendering the images and the text and all the links that you're encountering when you shop the website. HTML is used because it's very simple. The structure of it's really easy to understand. It's easy to visualize and recognize and clean up once you get the hang of it. It's a declarative language. It basically just says exactly what it is. And most of it makes a whole lot of sense. So if you're looking at code and you don't really understand what all of the tags are, often you can sort of put two and two together. So here you see a paragraph is a P tag, okay? A link is an A tag, which is not quite as intuitive, but you'll get the hang of it, okay? And again, one of the reasons that HTML is used is that it's a really intuitive program. If something's wrong with a code, if you have forgotten to close a tag, if something's spelled wrong, HTML will guess what you mean and go ahead and display the page anyways. So again, it won't lean on giving an error. It will just go ahead and render a page that may have some funky stuff on it, but it will still continue to work. The important thing to understand is the syntax of HTML, how you actually write this language to make it work. And tags are really the backbone of it. So the tags are what define how a web browser should format and display content. So if you're putting together a paragraph, you need to tell the web browser that this is a paragraph. And so again, you're using that P tag for a paragraph, and you need to make sure that you include an opening and a closing tag. Okay, and that's true for any tags that you use. And actually, I shouldn't say any, but most tags that you use. And so an opening tag is going to look like this, okay? And then a closing tag will have the addition of that /. An element is made up of the tag and whatever content goes within it. So again, these are my tags, and this whole thing is my element because it includes the tags and the content within it. This is a paragraph, and that would be the text that would be displayed in the web browser. With basic HTML, you can give it a little bit of style. So if you look at my little picture here, this looks super ancient. I think it looks older than 2004, to be honest. But you can see that, yes, you can include a little bit of style. There's a little bit of, bolding, and there's, difference in font sizes. There's a little bit of color. But overwhelmingly, your first impression is probably this looks like very, very simplistic type. Again, you can mix your HTML tags to create some more interesting displays. So you'll see here you still have your paragraph tags that I introduced on the previous slide, but there's also the introduction of emphasis. And this was done to italicize the word paragraph in this sentence. And so a little bit of style, again, these M tags. And you'll also note that these are nested within the P tags. Okay, again, open and closed, open and closed. And you just want to make sure that you maintain the order in which you use them. So the P's are on the outside, okay, and the M's are on the inside. I referenced nesting on the previous slide, and that was where it was inline. There were two tags used on one line. More often than not, though, you're going to see nesting that looks more like this, okay, where the coder has indented some of this, so visually it makes a little bit more sense what goes with what. So you'll see where there's an ordered list here, and then the individual list items. And then as they move to the next item, okay, it comes back out, it goes in, comes back out, goes in. And so an example here is an ordered list would be OL. Okay, the individual list items are then nested within that closing tag for that ordered list. Okay, tag, closing tag, tag, closing tag. Okay, hopefully you're starting to get the gist of how this works. Okay, so a little bit on HTML. Now let's cover a little bit of CSS. And again, these are cascading style sheets. Again, I never hear anyone call them that. It's just CSS. And CSS works with HTML to add more style to the look of a website. Okay, so CSS defines the look of a site. It allows you to visually style the page in a way that you simply cannot do with HTML. Okay, so it would be CSS essentially can be used to describe how HTML elements are going to be displayed. So are they going to be a particular font? Are they going to be, do they need special margins around the edges to push them left or right, to buffer them away from something else? They can apply to a slew of different things. It's hugely varied. There's a tremendous amount that you can do with it. Okay. The only real hitch in this is that you need to be extremely organized in the way that you work. So if you were on a website and you were developing 5 separate pages, you want to ensure that you use the same tags on all of your pages. Okay, so you don't want to use H1s on one page and then H5s is on the next page and then H4s on the next page. Because the more tags that you use, the more you've got to establish style to each of those separate things. Versus if I were to use an H1 on every single page, I'd be able to apply those CSS pieces to that one tag, and that would be repeated on all of my pages. Okay, I'm not sure that I did a great job explaining that, but we will look at some visually here in a moment. Okay, so the syntax of CSS, okay, is that you're going to have a selector and then a declaration, and the declaration is made up of a property and a value. Okay, so a selector can be a lot of different things, and for the sake of this class and the amount of time that we have to dedicate to this, your selectors will likely always be tags. Okay, if you got deeper into HTML, you would understand what classes and IDs were as well. So again, tags that we've looked at so far in this lecture, P tags, I've referenced H1 tags. Okay, again, the declaration is made up of the property and value that we want to apply to these tags. So if I have a paragraph tag that says this is a paragraph, I then could apply a declaration that says I want that paragraph tag to be rendered in the color blue, and I want all of the type to be rendered at a 12-point font size. Okay, again, in comparison to HTML, where I said you can add a little bit of style, you can add tons and tons of style here. Okay, again, most tags have 0 personality, and again, those tags are related to HTML. But in CSS, you'll see here some examples of all of the different things that you can do to the tag or the class or the ID that you're using. Things like size and color and border and background and margins. You'll see here no text shadow, height and width, border style, border color. Okay, tons and tons of things, and I'll show you some examples here in a moment. Okay. That is the end of the introduction. I will be back to show you some websites that we'll be using so you can work on your exercise for today.